Joining us right now is Jean-Yves Fillion, the CEO of BNP Paribas USA. Jean-Yves, good to see you.
Maria, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So characterize the year for us. You reported earnings earlier this week. How would you characterize things?
It's been a very good year for the bank. As you said, on the business side, revenue is up under some quite, complicated conditions worldwide. All the profitability metrics are up as well, significant in the significant way, as well as cost of risk really managed. Liquidity is very large, and our core equity tier 1 ratio at 11.5%.
Wow, that's really a big number.
Big number, one of the highest in the Eurozone. Then it's been a good year for BNP Paribas. It's important to mention that a few years ago, you and I discussed the 3-year plan that the bank was entering into, and the bank delivered the 3-year plan between 14 and 16, which now positioned the firm to get into an ambitious 2020 plan with, by the way, a very deep investment in digital, over 3 billion euros.
Yeah, we were just looking at a stock chart this morning of the company, and it's gone up over the long term. And we've been talking about your investment for a few years now. You've been saying you are building the bank of tomorrow and investing not only in digital but in the business. That's actually paying off right now.
It's paid off, and particularly you mentioned North America. You and I were discussing our plan at the time as well. Remember, it was complicated. 2011, post-crisis, and the investment we've made here took the platform for €1.5 billion in 2012 to over 2.2 billion euros in 2016, which is a 50% expansion in a country which is really strategic for the bank.
So how are you separating yourself? I mean, you touch all parts of the world. Obviously, we want to get your assessment on the global economy, but you've got situations like the banking sector in Italy, incredibly troubled. You've got people criticizing the euro, Britain leaving the Eurozone. There's a lot of challenges. So how are you separating BNP Paribas in the face of real challenge, and how would you characterize what's happening right now in Europe?
Well, it's an excellent point, and you really know the firm really well. The business model of BNP Paribas is really diversified and integrated. When you have the opportunity to benefit from 3 different engines, Europe, the home field, Asia, and US, that's one way to manage. Our presence in 75 countries obviously help. As it relates to Europe, you obviously highlighted very well some key challenges, and some countries still have some work to do, obviously. The one you mentioned, probably the most pressing one, is Brexit. As it relates to the bank, having operations and platforms across Europe, it is true that we will be watching. There is still a lot of things to be better understood, how the process will work, but we have many options in terms of adapting, adjusting, and continuing to serve our clients in the most efficient way we can.
Because you've got offices throughout the Eurozone. I mean, you're not like a JP Morgan that has to decide to pull lots of people out of London right now.
Well, being across Europe obviously provides this diversity. It's not the same situation for firms and banks for which the UK is the only point of access, and I'm sure these firms are reflecting to see how to adapt to this evolution over the next 2 years.
Let me ask you about the U.S. and President Trump. President Trump sent a letter to the Premier of China, Xi Jinping. He wrote that he looks forward to building ties with China. So this is a letter that was just sent yesterday. How do you see China right now and the Asian opportunity?
Well, maybe just before we go there, because you were so kind to mention the U.S., I just want to make sure I can update you on what we do in the United States.
Yeah, of course.
Because we have, similar to what the bank does worldwide, a diversified platform here. We have retail on the West Coast, a regional bank, Bank West, Bank of the West. We have investment banking based in New York, covering the large, U.S. and institutional clients in the United States. It's a large platform, Maria. It's over 6 billion of revenues. This is the largest balance sheet of the bank after France, meaning it's really strategic. And back to job creation, we employ 16,000 people in the US across 20 states. then I think it's important to mention that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Has Donald Trump called you in terms of investing further in the U.S.? I mean, you've already got 16,000 people here.
Well, not that I'm aware of, but clearly with the platform we have, I believe that over the years and going forward, we have been a strong supporter and creator of a job in the United States.
I know that.
Meanwhile, what the firm is doing, back to your point about differentiating factor, when we support U.S. companies and raise capital for them outside of the U.S. in Europe, where we lead in the Eurobond, this is another way to support, the activity in the United States.
Yeah.
Conversely, when we provide access to European investors into the deep U.S. investor market, same concept. We actually contribute to job creation and the expansion of the country. The better the U.S. does, the better my clients do, the better my practice does in the United States.
I'm sure. Let me ask you real quick before you go about the infrastructure plan that the Trump administration is planning. They're talking about $1 trillion in spending on infrastructure. Are you going to participate in that at BNP? I mean, are you going? Somebody's got to fund this, is one thing that I've been saying, and I think it's a big bonanza for the banks. So in terms of the infrastructure plan out of the Trump administration, how do you see BNP participating? Well,
first, I do believe that this country will benefit from more infrastructure going forward.
This is one of your specialties, though.
It is. We've been very active in project finance, in export finance, and the bank has been very active in these sectors worldwide, particularly in Europe, where the private-public concept has been there in place for many, many years.
And that's what they want to do here.
And I believe our expertise here can continue to help us support any accretive projects as well as our clients.
So you think that'll be a big piece of business for you?
I believe going forward, anything that is connected to growth will position my bank in a great way to support expansions and the projects of our clients going forward.
We will leave it there. Jean-Yves, good to see you. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful.